Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, September 26th. We're opening up our meeting at 7:01 p.m. And thank you all for being here. It is the first meeting of the new year, so we're going to start it off right. And the goal of today is to keep everything running on time. And so we're going to start off with our public gallery. So during the public gallery, just for the speakers to know, you get 2.5 minutes to share, and then the last 30 seconds, we will figure out what the follow-up is. So first up, we have Barbara. Barbara, you can come up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone.
Is it on? Is it on?
Yes.
But I hope I can hear them because.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Harmit, and I'm living at 31202 Grace Avenue. We have a problem where there's a shelter supposed to be going up on my block. It's a residential area where there's a lot of children, and the nursing home is across the street. And I just want to know the status of that situation going up. It's at 3140 Grace Avenue.
They see you. Yeah. Yeah. And they hear
We're
you.
going to take note of that. We're going to follow up on that. You said it's 3140 Grace Avenue?
Yes. I noticed that a week ago they were still delivering stuff there.
And you're saying that you've seen the notices? You've seen notices of the shelter that's coming up?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to follow up, and we have your information
This has
here.
been, I'm pretty sure the board is aware of it, but we just want to know the status of that situation right now.
Right, we don't have that information right now, but we will
Okay.
get you that information and see what the status is. If we can just make sure that we have your phone number. 'Cause I just see your address and your email.
Okay.
Thank you, but we will get back to you. Next up, we have Virginia. Virginia Sanders.
Hello, everybody. I'm Virginia Sanders. I'm president of the Wakefield Taxpayers Civic League. And we still have our meetings now. We have them every third Thursday right here at Community Board. We have been here for over 100 years. I want to continue to be there. I'm reaching out for anybody to help us to keep the meetings going. We used to meet at the Redeemer, but the pastor wanted us to get $1 million insurance, and we could not afford that. So thank God, I'm calling him Doctor. Mr. Torres gave us this space here. So every Thursday of the month, the third Thursday, please come and join us. We are a community meeting. We meet just to try to help each other with whatever problems you may have. Okay? Thank you for letting me speak.
I'm sorry, what time are your meetings on Thursday? You said the third Thursday of the month at what time?
7:30.
7:30?
And I promise to get you out by 9.
Okay. We just have to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the meetings we have, that the board has here. The thing is that, no, we do have meetings sometimes on the third Thursday, but we'll figure that out. Thank you. I believe we have one more speaker coming up. Do we have anyone online that would like to speak?
Hi, this is Sylvia Johnson. Only to say that I'm with RAIN Regional Aid. I'm one of the many centers that
Cynthia, can you
RAIN
speak up a
has.
little bit louder?
Hi, my name is Sylvia Johnson. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just one of the many great centers that RAIN Regional Aid has in the Bronx and part of Manhattan. I'm at Boston East, and I'm coming in just to let you know that the community board has been great with us, and we'd like to continue to have a great collaboration, and everything is really working out well with us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I hear that our borough president, Miss Vanessa Gibson, Madam BP. Hi.
Hello, my name is Diana Jean. I'm from Regis Care Center. I'm their PR and marketing director. I was here today to let you guys know a little bit more about Regis. We're a subacute nursing facility. We have short-term and long-term rehabilitation. I left a few brochures out by the front if anyone was interested. I'm kind of just trying to find more efforts for us to be more involved in the community. So if anybody has any events coming up or anything that they think Regis may be of use for, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be hanging out after as well. Thank you. Hi. My name is Diana Jean. Thank you. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much. Okay, now, Madam BP, thank you so much for being here. You got the floor.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Community Board 12. So great to see all of you. Welcome back to all of our returning members of the Community Board, and an official welcome and bienvenidos a todos to all of our new members of CB12, Madam Chair and our District Manager, the Executive Board members of Community Board 12. Always grateful to be with all of you, and as we start this new season for the fall, I wanted to take this moment to say thank you for all of your expressions of condolence and truly love and prayers for my family and I. We did lose our mom earlier this summer, August 1st, but as many of you know, I'm still working, still out here in the streets, making sure that the residents of our borough see our office and feel connected to the work that we're doing. We had a lot of events over the summer, one of them being the official orientation for all of our newest members of all 12 community boards. We welcomed over 100 new members based on vacancies that we received during the course of a year. At each community board, we had an extensive interview process earlier this year. Over 500 new applicants applied to 12 community boards. We didn't have over 500 vacancies. So you can imagine the challenge and, of course, a lot of the labor that is involved in making sure that we pick and select the very best of applicants. But our office, our Director of Community Boards, Kira Gannon, our Deputy Director, Alexis Ruiz, as well as our liaison, Kenny Augusto, did an incredible job over a course of several months in really interviewing every applicant to understand who they were, what they bring to the table, and really identifying them beyond an application. As you know, when we came into office, we wanted to transform the community board process. So the application is now digital, it's available online, and it's available in an additional language being Espanol, because we recognize that we represent a beautiful borough of diversity from cultures, nationalities, and it's important for us to always make sure that the work we do reflects the diversity. So after the application process, we really wanted to make sure that each community board continues to be diverse and reflective of the communities and the neighborhoods that you represent. The civic organizations, the small businesses, the commercial corridors, the renters, the homeowners, the property owners, the clergy, faith leaders, CBOs, school-based providers, many of our educators, and everyone that lives and works and raises their family in our communities. We want to make sure that they're all represented. So what you will see and will continue to see is us adding more value to our community boards when it comes to urban planners, when it comes to architects, social workers, nurses, members of the service, public servants. We have added corrections officers, police officers, firefighters, small business owners, entrepreneurs, educators, teachers. We have a few principals that joined our boards this year. And it is a part of our overall goal to make sure that our boards are really reflective. Every year we have to comply with the comptroller and submit reports on demographics that we use when it comes to our selection process. whether it's age, it's ethnicity, it's race, it's gender, whether you are an owner or a renter, you live in public housing, you represent the LGBTQIA+ community, a person with a disability, a veteran, I can go on, and we look at all of that. So I'm so glad that we have an incredible dynamic team here at Community Board 12. It is important that all of you are a part of these conversations. There is always a lot going on, and I am adamant and intentional about moving the Bronx forward. And of course, I realize there are many things that are often outside of our immediate control, but the community board is the most localized way to be a part of your community. And I often talk to many constituents that want to be involved, that are not sure. They may want to join a civic organization, adopting their block, a political club, the neighborhood advisory board, the community advisory boards that we have at our local public hospitals, North Central, Lincoln, and Jacoby, as well as our Gotham healthcare centers. We're able to make appointments to the CABs. So if there are anyone that is interested in being a part of one of our other boards, please let us know, and we are more than happy to consider you for that. So tonight, I just wanted to share some upcoming events. As I said, we always have a lot going on, and I acknowledge that in Community Board 12, we've had a lot. I've been with your district manager, with George, and your board chair, Beatrice, and some of the board members at a number of ribbon cuttings in Edenwall, the development that's happening with Edenwall houses. We've done events at the Northeast Bronx YMCA. We are focused on food equity and food justice for the month of September, which is Healthy Aging Month. So we have $10,000 worth of health bucks, the $2 coupons that you use at farmers markets and green markets and farm stands. And we have about 35 of the green markets across the borough. And we've been going around doing health bucks pop-up distributions. So we were at the Northeast Bronx Y. We've been to Lincoln Hospital, Morris Heights, the one at Borough Hall. We've been all over, and we still will continue. This week, we were at Parkchester. We were with Morris Heights Health Center, Grow NYC. And while the season is still here, before the end of November, we want to make sure that families have access to healthier food options. Many people complain about the quality of food at local supermarkets and grocery stores. Price gouging is real, and the quality is also a challenge. So as we deal with that with NSA and others that represent our supermarkets and our bodegas, we want to make sure that farmers markets are used. And a lot of our older adults use them as well. So we've also been going to older adult centers, working with RAIN and PSS and Neighborhood Shop, and giving out health bucks. So we give them out to everyone, not just the older adults, but we are closely working with many of our older adult populations just because of September being Healthy Aging Month. Rosh Hashanah is coming up, so we are also working closely with the Jewish community when it comes to the distribution of food. We've been working with Met Council, the Riverdale Y, and many of our other Jewish organizations that serve older adults. So that is something that we will continue to do through Rosh Hashanah as well as after. You all know October is Domestic Gender-Based Violence Recognition Month. We have a lot that we're doing around the borough, 31 days of action. We are launching next week. October starts Tuesday, and we are doing events with the District Attorney, Darcel Clark. We're going to have a Diva Spa, where we invite all of our DV clients to Borough Hall, and we give them a day of massages, facials, we do their hair, their makeup, and we make them feel beautiful, because many of our DV clients are going through an incredibly difficult time as a victim becoming a victor. And the process of getting out of a dangerous situation is real for many of our DV clients. And many of them tend to be women, and it affects not just the client, but their children. And so we're doing our annual 5K. We call it a 5K run, walk, roll, bounce, because it is in recognition of any victim of domestic, gender-based violence, intimate partner violence, and elder abuse. We don't forget about our older adults. And we're also focusing on healthy relationships. You all understand that at times, many DV victims witness violence in their own home, and they grow up and become the abuser. And so it's hurt people hurt other people. And we're trying to change that dynamic and offer different services. So that is something we're doing. The annual 5K walk, roll, bounce, run is on Saturday, October the 26th, and it'll be down at Borough Hall near my office at the Grand Concourse and 161st Street. October is also Italian Heritage Month, so we are doing our annual event at the Bronx Zoo on October the 16th. We're also recognizing October as Hispanic Heritage Month, so we're also having that event. It's going to be next week, I believe, October the 4th, but I'll make sure you have the flyer. I'll make sure all the flyers are sent to your executive, to your district manager, and your chair so that you can get that. In addition, our office sends emails out every Tuesday. We send emails out to thousands of subscribers across the borough, and we talk about new partnerships, new initiatives, events, programs, new legislation, any way that you can be involved. We want our communities to be informed, right? The challenge for us is how do we get that information from here outside into the community? And so I need all of you to help us when it comes to services and programs that should be available to the residents and families that we represent. Other elected officials are doing events. We have blood drives coming up because you know we have a blood shortage. But in general, our office is doing a lot of work around maternal health. So we are working with H&H Health and Hospitals, with Jacoby and North Central, and we are launching something called Healthy Conversations with the Bronx Borough President. And we started with Metro Plus Health on Fordham Road. They have a community center there. And the first conversation was earlier this week on Monday, and it was entitled, Let's Talk About Fibroids. No one talks about fibroids and the impact it has on many women in this state. And many know someone that's been affected by fibroids. So we had an OBGYN with 20 years of experience give us an overview of fibroids and talk about ways in which we get it, some of the symptoms, the preventative measures, as well as options for women that are living with fibroids. And each month, we're going to have a topic of conversation around the borough. So we're going to focus on HIV/AIDS, we're going to focus on diabetes, asthma, lupus. We're also going to talk about men's health because it's really important for our men to get screened early. Early detection is the best form of prevention that we could ever invest in. And so all of our healthcare partners, from hospitals to FQHCs, are a part of these conversations. So I look forward to having any of you or all of you join us at one of our future conversations. We are working on a birthing report. Very excited about this. It took a lot of work. Maternal health, big deal. Many women of color, predominantly African American and Latino women, are 9 times more likely to die because of pregnancy-related complications, because we do not have access to prenatal and postnatal care. We don't talk about birth workers, doulas, and midwives. And it's unfortunate that we wait until a tragedy happens and then we act. We have the ability to do something about it. Morris Heights Health Center, back in 1988, opened the first childbearing center on Burnside and University. And it closed in the early 2000s. And guess what? It's never reopened. We have no birthing center in the Bronx. As a matter of fact, New York State has 3 birthing centers. Guess where they are? Buffalo and 2 in Brooklyn. That's it. So when you talk about access to prenatal care, we are working with the governor and elected officials. We're creating a doula directory in New York State under the health department so that you can go on a website and find out where your local doula is right in your neighborhood. We're building that out. Medicaid now covers doula services and prenatal and postnatal care. We didn't have that before, but thanks to Governor Hochul, we're now getting access to all of that. But we still don't have a birthing center, folks. And so our report, which will come out in the next several weeks, will outline our goals to open the first Bronx Birthing Center in almost 20 years that we have not had. And so that's something that's very much on the top of our agenda. We also have our annual Tour de Bronx that's coming up. Has anyone ever heard of Tour de Bronx? Tour de Bronx is amazing. It's the largest free cycling event in the state of New York, right? You hear about all these other cycling events, but, oh, someone's calling me, but they cost money. And at the end of the day, ours is free. Free, free, free. And we have about 4,000 participants every year. Right now, we're at about 2,500. It's going to be on the first Sunday of October, Sunday, October the 6th, and it will start at the Grand Concourse at 161st Street. And if anyone is interested, we need volunteers, we need participants. We have 3 different miles. We have a 10-mile for families and children, 25 for the more advanced and intermediate, and then we have 40 for the advanced. So for the last 3 years, I've done the 25 and I've survived. So I'm staying in my lane. I'm going to do the 25 again because I just can't, the 40 is too much. This is a very hilly borough. There are a lot of hills in the Bronx, and I cannot imagine going up a hill and actually coming down a hill. It is very scary. So I'm going to stick with what I know and do 25. I'm now a bike owner, so I ride my bike, and now I understand what it's like to be a cyclist. And the difference is you put yourself in the shoes of others that you may not know. And so I understand that clearly. So the reality is Sunday, October 6th is our Tour de Bronx. And if anyone is interested, the website is www.ilovethebronx.com. T-H-E the, not D-A. I love the Bronx. www.ilovethebronx.com is the website. And if anyone is interested, it's going to be a great afternoon. The only thing I can't anticipate and predict is weather. So I hope that the weather holds up for us. And we're also involved with organizations around Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We do the annual walk at the Mall at Bay Plaza because of the construction at Orchard Beach. That is something that's almost complete. Can't wait for Orchard Beach to be finished. A lot of great things happening. Metro North expansion, lot of great things happening. And this area is going to see a lot in terms of development, residential, commercial. I understand the concerns, but my goal is to make sure that we work together. We may not always agree on every single proposal and project, but what I will always guarantee and assure you is that I will always make decisions that are in the best interest of this borough. And when it comes to economic development, job growth, lowering the unemployment rate, creating jobs and career pathways and apprenticeship opportunities and CTE and pathways to the middle class so families don't have to live in poverty every day, and we look at home ownership opportunities, I will always focus on that. And I realize that government cannot do it by itself. We need the private sector to join us, but it has to be the private sector that aligns with our values and our priorities. It shouldn't be anything else. I know everyone wants to profit, I get it. But at the end of the day, how we profit is by providing the opportunities for our people, for our children, for our families, for our older adults, for people with disabilities, and for our veterans. And so I am excited about the work that lies ahead. I know there's a lot going on, and certainly there's a lot of concern about what's happening, but I can absolutely assure you as your borough president that my job is to make sure that the Bronx is protected and supported and invested, and we get everything we deserve, from quality of life, from public safety. You all saw earlier this week that I made an announcement with the NYPD on $400,000 for the purchase of new security cameras across the Bronx and a new mobile command unit because we only have one and I need another one. So these are things that we're working closely with all of your precincts. So I'm working with the 4-0 all the way to the 5-2, right here in the 4-7. I work with Inspector Carabell and his team. We're working with the 4-9, of course. We have a lot to do because violence is still too high in this borough, and particularly among young people. That is why I believe that jobs are the answer. There's nothing that we could ever invest in to transform a young person's life than a job. It will allow them to grow and develop and make money and really be a part of this work. Jobs, recreation, community space, those are the answer, folks. And if we had the level of investment in DYCD and Department of Ed as we did in other agencies, we wouldn't have these conversations. There wouldn't be a deficit. Every young person that applies for a job should have a job offer. And that's why we work closely with the anti-gun violence organizations like BRAG and SOS and Guns Down Life Up. our SUV that comes out of Jacoby. There's a lot of organizations we work with. So I can go on and on, but let me close because you do have a meeting and an agenda. But I really wanted to come out tonight to just say thank you. I know that sometimes things seem incredibly challenging, but one thing that I know about this borough and our people is we are resilient. We have fought against insurmountable odds, and we have always persevered. People have given up on us at many times and not seen the beauty and the promise that we represent. But then there were folks, people in our borough that saw promise, saw potential, and fought against all odds, and we are here today as fruits of that labor. We will do more when it comes to health equity, health justice, food security, housing, jobs, public safety, access to better transportation. We will do better. And as your borough president in my 3rd year, a lot of great accomplishments, but we are not done yet. So I need all of you to stay committed, to be in this work, to realize that we are better together, and no matter where anyone lives in this borough, they should be afforded affordable housing, safe and clean streets. What I see around this borough is unacceptable. I'm like a mad woman as I drive around this borough and I see garbage everywhere. And I'm constantly making sure that the receptacles are clean and our streets are clean, power washing. Why do some neighborhoods look better than others? It's not fair. It's not fair to the good people that pay taxes and live in our communities. And so I need your help. I need your work. I need your advocacy. I need your creative ideas because we have to think outside the box. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and we are not a one-size-fits-all borough. We are the Bronx for a reason, the birthplace of hip-hop, and all the great things, the greenest borough, all the greatness that we have here in this borough. I am excited about that, and I celebrate it and I amplify it because I know that better days are to come. So I thank you so much for your time, Community Board 12. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all the members here, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you for hyping us up. I think we all needed that today.
I can boost you up
It's been a
anytime.
day. It's
with
been a
no coffee.
day. It's been a day. But our condolences again for your beloved queen. We know how close you are with her. And she's here. And the goal of this board is to create an impact, and we're here to fight the good fight with you. And be advocates for the needs. And we were just talking, a group of us earlier, what are some of the things that we want to do this year or bring more awareness to? And sanitation was number 2. Infrastructure was number 1. We've been talking a lot about flooding in the boroughs, and so we look forward to partnering up with you more this year, more than ever. And thanks again for everything. I don't know if you're taking questions or if that's, I know your phone's ringing. You probably have other things to do.
I have to go to a gala at Eastwood Manor.
We'll invite you back. We'll invite you back. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
I do want to mention one thing about, we do have new board members that are not here. We see you online, but it does not count. We'll talk about attendance real quick for new board members. You're supposed to be here in person. And so if you are not here in person and you weren't, you didn't let us know and it wasn't considered excused, that means that you already have one unexcused absence. And remember that after 3 unexcused absences, then we have to bring it to the board for a vote to potentially vote you off. So please keep that in mind. I do see a few board members that are not here, and that already counts as one unexcused absence. Yes, and when you do call, in order for it to be excused, you have to let Ursula know, and then Ursula lets Ms. Benitez, who does our roll call, and myself and George know. And we'll get into that. So attendance is super important. Now, without further ado, do we have anyone else here that wanted to talk? I think that closes our public gallery session. You have one more? Okay. You can come up to the podium. That's what we put. Yeah. We put it in 32.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I didn't come to say anything. And this is my first time here, even though I've been in the Bronx for umpteens of years. But since I hear Ms. Gibson, she was talking, and I did speak to her before. I go to the Bay Eden Senior Center, and over the years that I've been going there used to be a lot of stuff. You know, you could go from one activities to the other. Now I notice that some days maybe one, and I'm like, why should I leave my home for just one and just sit there, even though I get to socialize? Because, you know, after you reach a certain age, you lose your friends and, you know, all of that. First of all, the food is terrible. And not because you're a senior, they think you only have eyes to see and you have no taste. And I'm looking at the food, and I used to eat lunch, and I stopped because they stopped cooking at the center. They have a beautiful kitchen, but they choose not to cook. You know, they have the food catered by, they said it's some Jamaican, but I don't know. And then when the food is there at 9 o'clock in the morning, when do they cook that food? To come to bring it there between 9:30 in the morning. So I'm saying, I look at it, and a couple times I taste, and I think they cook it overnight. So I decided that I was not going to eat, because if I want to eat something that may be cooked the night before, I can go home and eat my leftovers. And it seems like, you know, because we are elderly. And then the other thing is that in front of the center, there is a bike drop-off. And why should they have a drop-off for the bikes when they come and they throw the bikes down? You know, and there's the seniors have to go around it, and, you know, we could trip and fall and what have you. So, like, where do we go? You know, we should have somebody to speak up for us and advocate for us.
You got it. We do need your information, though, because we don't have your name on the list.
Right.
And we
So
hear you. You're talking about quality of food, conditions.
Yes.
And those are things that, for us, are important. So we do want to advocate for you. So we would need the specifics of where the center is.
Yes.
As well. Your name.
Yes.
So that we can connect with our local elected
And
officials.
I spoke to Ms. Gibson before. I spoke to
Yes.
Carl
Can we?
Hasty.
We're going to talk with you offline now, because we
Yes.
just allot 2.5, but we have you on our radar, but we don't have you on our list.
Okay.
So if we can just make sure that you put your information here, and we're going to follow up with you offline and get you, and we're
And
going to
there's
advocate.
Just one more thing.
Yes.
I heard Ms. Gibson talk about the coupons that they give for the
health coupons, yeah,
Grow
the health
New
points.
York. Yeah. Grow New York.
Yes.
And now, when they give you $4, what can you buy for the $4? You go to that Grove place.
Yeah.
One corn is $1.25. What can you buy with the $4? It's probably helped some people
Right.
because, you know, every little bit
It counts.
counts. But they should, you know, or
Yes.
maybe find out from people who need.
We're gonna
that
sit with
stuff.
you and make sure that we have all of your
Yes.
needs
Yes.
written down so that we can advocate for you as
Yes.
well. Thank you so much
I
for
would
being here.
appreciate it.
We hope to
Yes.
continue seeing here monthly. Thank you so much.
Yes. My name is Lorraine Sylvester, and I'm a Bronx from old as dirt.
But we need your information here, okay, DeRay? We're gonna pass this down, DeRay. Lorraine.
Thank you.
Okay, so that closes our public gallery session. Now we're gonna move on to a very special presentation this summer. I don't know if you all recall, but when we're finishing up and wrapping up in June, we did have a call to action to Congressman Torres, and we were saying we needed some support with infrastructure. I'm so happy to report that 2 weeks later, he did schedule a meeting with us and our executive committee members, and we had a breakfast where we shared the needs that we see for this community. And so he has done a few steps to help us move in the right direction. One of them 2 weeks ago was this presentation on the Inflation Reduction Act, which I am so happy to report that they are a lot of grants that we do qualify for. Last year, we were really talking about how can we get funding for an urban planner. We had one council member, Councilmember Riley, that allocated $5,000, which is huge. We're gonna give him a round of applause, because that is huge, right? And so what that helps us is to indicate that one council member felt that it was important for us to kind of like secure funds to have our own studies and assessments and of needs done for this community and our vision. At this information session that Congressman Torres invited me to, I learned a lot. And so today we have Amanda Caputo here. She's with Fordham University, and she's going to be presenting on all the variety of grants that we apply for that would help us with our vision of an urban planner. We would do it a different route, but Amanda, I'd like to give you the floor. Thank you so much. And so while you're speaking, I'll be playing the presentation, and then you tell me when to skip ahead. So for now, introduce yourself while I get that up.
Absolutely. Well, hello everybody. My name is Amanda Caputo. I am Bronx, born and raised. I'm a first-generation college student. So I'm very happy to be here. This is actually my first community board meeting that I've ever attended. So big shout out to 12. So this is a really cool experience for me. And I'm also a recent graduate from Fordham University. I graduated from Fordham University in 2023. And I'm really excited and grateful to even have the opportunity with them to work on this project, this amazing opportunity that I feel like really embodies what our borough president said about resiliency. I think this opportunity for the entirety of the Bronx, even spanning across New York, is really a beacon of hope and, like I said, opportunity. So I think I'm really excited to be able to share these opportunities with you. No problem. You take your time. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, perfect. So just to reintroduce again, it's a pleasure to be with you here today to discuss the Flourishing in Community Initiative. Like I said before, I really hope this session is going to be an opportunity to introduce you to the grant opportunity as a whole, give you more details if you're already familiar with us, and really start an open dialogue with you about how we can best assist with the process moving forward and open up this area of opportunity. Perfect. Beautiful. So first, I think it would be helpful to start with just a broad overview of the grant program itself. So in December of 2023, Fordham University was one of the $50 million EPA grant awardees under the Inflation Reduction Act. So through the Flourishing in Community Initiative, Fordham University will function like a foundation. distributing funds to environmental justice projects. This grant opportunity covers EPA Region 2, which covers New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. And under this opportunity, we are making sure to prioritize communities that are too often underrepresented, under-resourced, and significantly impacted by pollution, climate change, and other environmental stressors. I'm really excited to actually get into more detail about the different grant opportunities that you see on the side of the screen, because as you can see, there's big amounts there. They range from $75,000 all the way up to $350,000 to build and expand projects that are in the community itself. Well, I'll talk about them in a little bit. I have them in more detail on other slides. Yes. That's perfect, yeah, perfect. So before I get into the different buckets of money, which I will kind of piece through each of them, I think it's really important for us to be fully transparent about our evaluation process and what that looks like. So all of our submissions are evaluated by a community leadership board, which is made up of environmental justice community experts from across Region 2. So just to introduce you to Wanda Solomon, she is the chairperson for this board and will lead this evaluation process. We really believe that the greatest experts are those within the communities and working directly with locals to address the needs on a daily basis. So it's only fitting that all of the proposals and the applications that we received are being evaluated by a dedicated team of community-driven people. And I also want to clarify too, the lifespan of this grant program is 3 years, so we will be accepting proposals on a rolling basis over the course of 3 years, and they'll be evaluated quarterly. So now I'm going to get into the 4 different buckets of money. This is the exciting part. So first I'll talk about the $75,000 grant, which is framed as a non-competitive grant opportunity. And this is because it prioritizes capacity-constrained communities and community-based organizations without the submission of an application and a competitive review process. So the reason for this is because we fully recognize that not all organizations and projects have the capacity to go through a strenuous application process. So the process for this is intentionally simpler because different organizations have different amounts of capacity. So any organization or individual can nominate any other organization or project, including their own, within EPA Region 2, which of course, like I said previously, covers New York. So nominations for this grant will appear on our program website, which I will give plenty of information about that later on. I also have flyers to share so you can follow up on any of that. But on the program website, it might ask you to provide a short description of the project, sets of photographs, even you can submit a video, and that will kind of be the nomination. It would be that material. So now I'm going to get into the next 3. So for the next 3 grant opportunities, the one that folks would apply for would depend on the stage of the project that folks would be in. So for the $150,000 grant, this is for projects that are in the assessment stage, meaning the project would be focusing on data collection and analysis. So at this stage, folks may be seeking to better understand the problem that they want to address. And what that may look like is through research, sampling, testing, monitoring, different types of investigations, things like that. So that would be,
No, I love that you're saying that. Just for my board members, this is exactly what we were saying we wanted to do. Remember last year what the reason for an urban planner? This is it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So for the next grant, the $250,000 grant, this is for projects that are in the planning stage, meaning that problems are identified, the data is there to support it, and now the project may want to survey communities to see if it's something that the community actually wants. So at this stage, they're in the preparation stages, as you guys know, the people that know what's best for the community are community members themselves. So this would kind of be the stage of the project where this surveying would happen. So this would be an avenue for planning, partnership building, public outreach and education, and that would be the type of programming that's under this grant opportunity. And then the really big one, the $350,000 grant. So for this opportunity, these are for projects that are in the development stage. So in other words, what we kind of call it is shovel-ready projects. So meaning the project is already in place, you're seeking to create and expand a new focus within the project that's already there. So some of the things that may fall under this one is project development, blueprints for construction, cleanups, land purchases, and the implementation of different project plans. So now I would like to just really quickly go over all of the eligible entities that can apply for this grant opportunity. So the nonprofit organizations, community organizations, the tribal governments, civic and philanthropic organizations, Native American organizations, higher education institutions, and Community Board 12 can apply actually as a local government. And there's also an avenue if Community Board 12 wants to apply in partnership with an organization, that is also an avenue as well. So it can be independently as a local government or in partnership with an organization.
And I just want to say again, to give an example of what we were discussing last year when we were looking into an urban planner, we looked at, for example, Hester Street, which has since closed, but they were a nonprofit urban planning organization. That would have been a perfect fit, but again, they've since closed, but those are kind of some of the collaborations that we can do.
Perfect. So now I'm just going to give some really broad examples of the different types of projects that could be implemented through this funding. So there's a lot of different avenues, and I know some of the things that were mentioned before was air testing, water testing, avenues to explore the flooding and molding in buildings, building clean infrastructure. Those are all potential projects that could be implemented through this, but just to give some other examples as well, there's also projects available for workforce development, student success in a green economy, projects that promote affordable and sustainable housing, food security, racial justice and financial security, recovery and coastal resilience, community access, and revitalization of green spaces, making sure that they're clean and accessible and safe spaces for everybody that is in them. And then public and environmental health, all different avenues such as those. And just to speak on a few more, there's also biodiversity and conservation, clean and renewable energy sources, transportation, making it sustainable and clean, and then, like we talked about previously, agriculture, food systems, and sustainable ways of eating for folks. And these are just, in broader terms, the different types of projects. So I won't read through all of them just because I kind of mentioned a lot of them before, but I think you can kind of notice through the type of language that's used throughout this presentation, it's very intentionally broad because we fully recognize that different communities have different needs, and we want to make sure that, and environmental justice is a broad term in itself as well, and we want to make sure that all different types of projects, there is an avenue of funding for it because it can fall under one of these broad terms. So it's definitely not an all-inclusive list. So there's a lot of different avenues for Community Board 12 to be able to apply for this funding and make it applicable for community members. So this has been a very, very long process since December of 2023, and just to kind of give you an update of where we are now. So this past summer, we've been doing a lot of outreach, just making sure that this opportunity is reaching as many folks as possible, and it's something that we will continue to be doing even when the application is already open. We're really hoping that, I know it's late September now, but sometime very, very soon, in this late September, early October, the application will officially open. And then, like I said before, the evaluation cycle is going to be quarterly. So hopefully in winter of 2024, that first evaluation cycle will begin. And this is something really for Community Board 12 to start thinking about before the application is even open. I think it's really important to take some time to reflect on what the application process is going to look like for you and the intention that you kind of want to go into it with. So folks can start thinking about general descriptions of the project, why they believe it's needed, why does the project respond to a community priority, and even a budget narrative. So planning how much funding that you want to ask for and the plan of implementation over the time that you receive that funding. And these are also great resources if we fully acknowledge that, not everybody knows where to even start with an opportunity like this. And we have a lot of different resources in order to make this opportunity as accessible as possible. So we included some of the EPA's screening tools, so you can kind of get a better overview of, let's say, the area that you want to focus on and their broad needs through the EPA system. And then there's also different technical assistance centers for guidance on grant writing, project management, and budgeting, because we know that not all organizations have that capacity within it already. And I know I have all of these QR codes on flyers and stuff that I can give as well. And yeah, these are also, I just wanted to highlight the support systems that we already have in place across EPA Region 2. We have the New Jersey Alliance for Immigration Justice, New York Immigration Coalition, Comprometidos, Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands. Those are all of our statutory partners that are doing direct outreach in each of the different territories, just to make sure that all of the folks who are applying, that are interested in applying, have access to all of the information. And we also have, I'll just highlight too, the Business Initiative Corporation of New York, which is helping both organizations and us with grant compliance and things like that. That's just another one of our partners. And this is just a big shout out to connect with us. I really, I don't want this to be the last time that we connect with you guys. We want this conversation to be ongoing. So if you scan that QR code, and I have them all on the flyers as well, you can connect with us, send any questions that you have to that email up there, info@fordham.edu, and yeah, you can stay in the loop with us. We also have office hours that happen every single week. So we have an English session at 11, Spanish at 12, and a bilingual at 6 p.m. And we also have an opportunity for folks to schedule one-on-ones. So on Thursdays, if you're ever interested in joining one of our info sessions, you are more than welcome to join us. And that is it. That is a QR code. Thank you so much.
Amanda, this is
Yes.
such valuable information. We may have a few questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it won't be the last time, because I feel like this really, I left inspired after leaving that information session. And so quick questions. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much for presenting. I had a question about how many of each grants are available.
Yeah, so there's going to be a few hundred of each grants that are going to be distributed. Something that I really want to highlight in response to that question is that folks actually have an opportunity to apply to multiple grants within the period. So let's say that Community Board 12 wants to apply to a non-competitive grant and they receive the $75,000 in the first year. There is also an equal opportunity for them to apply again for a higher amount. Let's say they want to apply then for the $150,000 amount. They can apply for that and complete it within, let's say, another 2-year period. So there's enough grants to go around where community boards, where anybody who's applying could apply for multiple grant opportunities if it fits within the 3-year period.
Great. Ted?
Are the awards going to be only in those amounts that you stated, 75, 150?
Yes, those are the 4 bucketed amounts that would be applicable to apply for.
Could it be less? Could it be less?
They could be, because folks are able to, within the applications, they could give further details about the amounts of funding that they feel that they would need. As long as they have a budget narrative that supports the amount of funding that they apply for, it could be, yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
I have one question.
Yeah, of course.
I know that there's a route to partner up with a nonprofit. That's one route. Let's say we don't find a partner. Can we, as a local government?
Yes.
We can do it on our own?
Yes, absolutely. That is one of the eligible entities. So Community Board 12 would apply as a local government, and you can take either route, apply independently or in partnership.
So exciting. Is everybody excited?
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Go ahead.
Who would be the grant writer within the Community Board 12? Because you have to have a grant writer.
I'm looking for volunteers. So from what Amanda and Saray told me, for the non-competitive, it's not that difficult from what they said, right? We also had to remember that Councilmember Riley did give us $5,000. We could use that for a grant writer, right? But we'll discuss that.
Yeah, no, I do want to echo that. For that first pocket of money, that $75,000 grant, there is no need to actually fill out like a strenuous application to do a lot of written work. It would just be like a description of the project, and folks can submit photographs and a video or something like that.
Amazing. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead, Kartika.
I had a question. The grant, does it cover servicing and staff, or does it just cover like capital costs?
That's actually a great question. Oh, sorry. That's actually a great question. I think as long it's within the application, you're able to detail what exactly the funding would be used for, as long as it is attributing to a project that is related to environmental justice. You can detail what the cost would actually be going to, because that is something that you would have to detail within the plan itself. But that's a great question.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
So would that include if we like want to hire a consulting person or an architect of some sort?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Go ahead, Luke, last one.
And we could apply for like multiple non-competitive grants or multiple grants within the same category of grant? Okay.
Yep.
Could we be awarded multiple grants potentially?
Yes,
for different
absolutely.
projects?
Yeah, as long as it's within the 3-year grant cycle period, which starts when the application opens, folks can apply for more than one.
Thank you so much. And we're going to continue the conversation. We have your information. We know where to find you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
That concludes the part of the presentation. We did have somebody from DSNY that wanted to present, but I don't think they're here. So we will move on to our elected officials. Excuse me? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Benitez. We will move on to our elected officials. We have Assemblymember Dinowitz. Would you like the mic?
Of course I would like the mic. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz, and I represent part of Community Board 12, Barnes Avenue and West. I know most of you are east of Barnes Avenue, but some of you are west. So I'm going to just mention a few things. By the way, I hate WebEx. I don't know if you're on WebEx tonight, but I've been going to the meetings on WebEx, and honestly, I have trouble every time. It's the other one, Zoom, is much easier for me to use. So, in fact, I hate it so much, I said, I'm coming here in person so I can see people face to face. So I'm going to mention just a few things, because I know you probably have a lot of stuff on your agenda. First, one of the things we get a lot of complaints about is the Nereid Avenue Bridge and all the trucks and everything. Well, I got to tell you, and I know it was partially my office, partially Councilmember Dinowitz, Eric Dinowitz's office, and partially Community Board 12, but we just drove over that bridge, and you know how many trucks there were? Zero. When I tell people that, I don't want to use the wrong word, but that nagging works, it really does. Now, I'm not saying those trucks aren't going to come back. They may come back. But if they do, we just got to keep doing what we've done all along. But we finally got that done. And all the people who complained to our office, we haven't heard of anybody calling to say, great job, but that's okay. We don't do it for that. So that's one of the pieces of good news. I wanted to talk about, for a minute, two pieces of legislation because they really impact the city and the community. One of them is this, and it's legislation that passed. We passed it in the Assembly and the Senate, and we're hoping that the governor signs it. And it's called the Climate Change Superfund Act. And in a nutshell, what this legislation does, once it's enacted and in effect after it beats back lawsuits from oil companies, is it will raise $3 billion a year for 25 years. $3 billion sounds like a lot of money, right? Not so much, because what it will be used for is to deal with the negative impacts that we've already suffered from climate change. So areas that have been the victims of extreme flooding, schools that are air conditioned, like a whole litany of things that have of problems we have to deal with, and a lot of it's due to the impact from oil companies over many, many years, because oil companies, the product they sell, which we use, puts bad stuff in the atmosphere. That's really the easiest way to describe it. And they know that their product was bad. It's kind of like what happened with the cigarette companies, the tobacco companies years ago. They knew they were selling a bad product. They were keeping it from the public. They were lying about it, and they were making huge profits. Last year, the fossil fuel companies made the largest profits in history. But meanwhile, we, the taxpayers, are paying the cost of dealing with the impacts of climate changes, such as more frequent and severe hurricanes, more flooding, more everything. And what this would do is it would make them pay a little bit of it back, because the summary of the bill is what my mom told me, and I'm sure many people the same thing. If you make a mess, you got to clean it up. And that's what this legislation would do. As I said, it passed the Assembly and it passed the Senate. Now it's in the hands of the governor. But one of the good things about it is it guarantees that of that $3 billion, at least 35% up to 40% of the funding would go to communities that have been particularly impacted by the effects of climate change. And what that means is that places like the Bronx would get a disproportionate share of the money once it happens. Now, this is not going to happen tomorrow, because even if the governor signs it, we know the oil companies are going to try to fight tooth and nail. And they're going to say, well, if you're charging us $3 billion, we're just going to pass it on to the customers, which is actually a lot of nonsense, because prices at the gas pump are not determined by, a local oil company. It's determined on a worldwide, basically. So this is a sort of a big global piece of legislation, but it actually will have impacts on the Bronx, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic about it, and I just hope the governor does the right thing. I know she says she's pro-environment, and I know she has a good record on that, so that's why I have faith that the governor will do the right thing and maybe make up for other things that weren't necessarily the right thing. Now, today somebody asked me if I'm running for mayor, and I said, well, if I could stay in one borough, the Bronx, I'd be happy to do it, but barring that, no. I don't want to talk about what happened today. I mean, we know what's going on. It's really unfortunate, and I guess we'll see how it plays out. But one way or another, whether you like the mayor, whether you don't like the mayor, not good for the city, what's happening. And my concern is that city agencies and city services may be somehow disrupted because, commissioners have resigned and other stuff that's going on. So I think we have to redouble our own efforts to do everything we do. And I want to mention one other thing, if that's okay. And I guess I would call it a controversial piece of legislation that I have. And essentially what it does is it would ban the wearing of full-face masks, with the exception except for health reasons or religious reasons. I don't know how many of you are aware, but for probably over 100 years, we had a law in the state of New York which banned full-face masks. You couldn't cover your entire face And of course, the reason for that was largely because of the Klan. And at the advent of COVID, that law, which essentially said you can't wear a white hood over your head, was suspended or was repealed because you didn't want to prevent people from wearing masks. Now, I don't know about you, but during COVID, I was wearing a mask, but it just covered my nose and my face, and it was largely to protect, not even ourselves, it was to protect other people, basically. But COVID, while it's still around, the pandemic is over. Now, there's been a lot of stuff going on, in the past year. So what I've done is I've introduced legislation, and it's not aimed at any particular group, but those who are wearing masks during some of the protests that are taking place happen to be part of one particular point of view, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is that if you participate in protests or anything else for that matter, you shouldn't be covering your identity. You shouldn't be concealing your identity. Why would somebody wear a full face covering? That means, wrapping a towel or a shirt or something around their face and their head. There's only two reasons why people do that, and it's the same reason why we didn't want white hoods back then, and that is people wear those to conceal their identity so they can't, have any trouble, and they use it to intimidate people. That's what that was all about. We held a press conference over the summer, happened to be across from Columbia University, and there were several groups that were part of this press conference for this legislation. The groups included the NAACP, the Urban League, the Anti-Defamation League, and a number of other groups. And the theme was to stop mask hate. We want to make sure that people who are part of protests, they can do all the protesting they want. I've been part of a lot of protests in my time. I've been arrested at a protest. But you know what? It never crossed my mind to wear a mask. It never crossed my mind. Why would I cover my face? If I'm part of a protest, if I'm part of a demonstration, then I'm proud of what I'm doing, and I don't want to conceal my identity. I want to actually know, I want people to know who I am in circumstances like that. So some people don't agree with it, but this is going to be an issue which is going to be before the legislature in the coming months. We don't go back into session until the new year. So I just wanted to mention it because I know people have strong opinions one way or the other on it, and I like people to know what's happening. So anyway, let's count our victories. Nereid Avenue Bridge, yay. No trucks. So.
Thank you so much. We have a question for you.
What was your secret for the Nereid Avenue Bridge? Because we really want to know.
Well, our office, we were persistent. And I said, it wasn't just my office, it was Councilmember Eric Dinowitz, and I know the community board. We would just keep going and going. The city, if the city wants to tow a truck, it's not so easy because the city has 6 of those huge tow trucks for the entire city, so it's not easy to get that done. But I guess when we all come together, we can occasionally get things done. We don't always get everything done that we want, but I believe that you have to be persistent. I say never give up, never give in, never back down when you're trying to get something done, and it's something that's important for the neighborhood. And if you do that, you don't always win every battle, but you win a lot of battles if everybody works together. So
thank you so much.
It's not a secret.
One more question, and then we'll wrap up.
How you doing, sir? Thank you for first being here face to face. I think if WebEx is what gets you here, then we should stay on WebEx first.
I hate WebEx.
If it gets you here, it's great. So I just want to first ask a question about asylum seekers. I see you've been very vocal in terms of the location that recently came up, Manhattan College over at West 238th, which affected the Riverdale area. Here in District 12, we've done our fair share of heavy lifting with asylum seekers and being receptive to what the city has taken on, but our resources haven't kept up with the influx that we've received. We've done our fair share of lifting. What is your plan to make sure that our infrastructure and our resources keep up with the influx that we didn't create but have been adopted to?
Well, first, a lot of the decisions on that are made by the mayor, and he's busy at the moment, and by the Department of Homeless Services as to like where to put some of these shelters and other facilities. So in terms of the one you'd mentioned in Manhattan College, so at 238th and Waldo Avenue, for many years, there was an apartment building which years ago was purchased by Manhattan College and which was then used as a dorm for many, many years. Manhattan College sold the building, I guess about a year or so ago. They're having their own financial troubles. So many of us had advocated that that building be used for affordable housing because the mayor has consistently said, we have a housing shortage, we need more affordable housing, we got to do something. So that's what we advocated for. I personally did not think it was a great idea to use it for the purpose that they are using it for, which is a migrant shelter, because I just thought something more permanent made a lot more sense. I think when because we don't get a lot of advance warning about some of the plans that the city has, and I'm not a city official even, we have to react to a lot of things. So, for example, about a year or so ago, they opened up a migrant facility on Bronx Boulevard, and without warning, we only found out about it as it happened, and what they didn't do was plan, like, what are you going to do about the kids? Where are the kids going to go to school, and so on and so forth. So the city, most of the kids was sent to school at PS 16 on Carpenter Avenue, and I think a few of the kids to the Matilda Avenue school on Matilda Avenue. But that was it. So they didn't make plans to provide for the needs of those children. So it was actually the councilman's office, Eric, who reached out to DHS, to Department of Education, and they said, and he spoke to the principals of the schools and said, if you're sending, whatever the number was, I think it was like 50 or 60 kids to PS 16, most of them do not speak English. Most of the kids, most of the people coming in were largely from the northern part of South America, Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia, but there were people also from other parts of the world, from Africa and other places. And if the city is going to be creating facilities, you have to have what's needed for the people. Now, whether you think it's a great idea that migrants are coming here or not, I don't think that's the point anymore, because they're here, they're people, and we got to do something. We got to do the right thing. On the Waldo Avenue thing, the shelter, it was very divisive there. And Curtis Sliwa, everybody knows who Curtis Sliwa is. He was coming in from wherever he is from, Queens or Brooklyn or someplace. He wants to run for mayor. So he was really trying to make it an ugly situation. And he is what some people would refer to as an outside agitator. He was trying to cause trouble over there, and some of the people were.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that the concern here, and I get what you're saying, I think our concern for our district is that the majority of the shelters are on our side of the district, and in Riverdale, I think what you were trying to say, there's about maybe just one, and so that is our concern. What are you doing as our assemblyman to address that disparity?
Well, first,
because we get that they need the services, we get that.
Okay,
but
got
it should be equally dispersed.
Well, first of all, it's not done on a district-by-district basis. I know that this area of the Bronx has got disproportionately more of pretty much everything, including homeless shelters. We have we worked hard when DHS wanted to locate facilities in particular locations, like they did on Bronx Boulevard, right below Nereid Avenue, for example. So the decisions that are made by that agency are often made and done as a fait accompli, and we have to fight and we have to protest. This was done both by the Adams administration, by the de Blasio administration, as well as the
Could you
Bloomberg
put together a
administration.
protest for us, and we would gladly join?
Is there a particular location that you have in mind? Listen.
Yes, I think that
I
we
love
should.
protests.
I think that, we should have a meeting specifically about that. We do want to have protests. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, and so this side of your district is ready to. And let's have a sit down, and we should protest.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I try to be proactive, but if there are specific things, you know, ask me to come to it, ask me to help organize it if
Yeah.
it's a protest, and I'd be happy to do that.
We can bring it up in committee.
Seriously.
And we'll map it out. But
Are
we
there-
do need your support.
But there aren't any, are there new proposals? Because I haven't heard of a new thing that's coming in. I mean, you already have like lots. Yeah. Right. I mean, for example, just so you know, when I look at my district as my district, I don't kind of. I mean, I know what neighborhoods are in my district, but I don't say this side or that side. But I do understand clearly that there are more facilities, particularly in the Wakefield section. But we're getting in my district, in the Riverdale section, a homeless shelter, and most people don't have as big a problem with a family shelter. But this is a shelter for single men, and that's what most people think is problematic, including me, by the way. We got a shelter on Broadway, which is a few blocks from my office, several years ago, and people are all upset by it. And it's a family shelter, and it's been in operation, I don't know now, for about 5 or 6 years. There's never been a single problem, but it's a family shelter. It's not the same as a shelter for single men, which may have people with, you know, drug or mental health issues or other issues that have to be attended to.
Right.
But
I'm sorry, you had a question? And then we'll move on. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? My perspective is a little bit different when it comes to the getting rid of the trucks. I myself am a truck owner, and what most people don't think about is the fact of how would our supplies, food, medical supplies, anything we need on a daily basis, how would that get delivered to your local grocery store, your local Target? So I understand that the trucks being there is an eyesore, but how many designated truck parking lots do you have in the Bronx? Because if you had enough, they wouldn't have to park on the street. That's why I don't even bring my trucks to New York, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what, though? I hear what you're saying, but I don't think we had this issue before COVID. I mean, it started, a lot of the issues we have today seem to have started by then. So the question is, what did the trucks do, you know, 5 years ago? I'm not even sure I know the answer because I'm not a truck driver.
I live on 241st Street. The trucks have been there, I'm 40 years old, they've been there probably 39 years out of my life. They've been there a long time.
Well, I'm not sure because
they've been there.
I'm going to finish up because I know she wants to move on, but we first started getting complaints about trucks on Webster Avenue some years ago. Webster, particularly between East 233rd Street and Gun Hill Road. We never got the complaints about Nereid Avenue Bridge until the pandemic, at least and I'm around, I'm all over the place, so I see what goes on. But you're right, there has to be a place for them. They just shouldn't all be in the same place. That was the problem that people really had a problem with that. And every time I drove over that bridge, I would do a count, and invariably there were between 15 and 18 of these huge trucks all in one place, and that's really not good.
I understand we need housing, but at least designate parking lots where they can go, and you won't have this problem, I promise you.
Okay. No,
It's a New York State, it's a New York City thing. In New York State, you can go to like pilots, TAs, where they have
Right.
truck, like where they
I
fuel up.
get what you're saying, but I'm telling you that we never had the problem, or at least it wasn't nearly as big until the past 5 years. It's really, and I've been around for a while. I'm telling you that we never had these complaints.
And we'll place you in our Capital Projects, Transportation and Capital Projects Committee to come up with a solution. We have spoken about the need for these parking area places.
Right.
So thank
Anyway,
you so much.
thank you so much. I hope I
Thank
didn't
you.
take up too much time.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Are there any other elected officials? Cynthia Riley? I'm sorry, Cynthia, from Councilmember Riley's office.
I come with company. That doesn't mean it's a problem. So good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia, and I am the Director of Constituent Services and Legislative Coordinator at Councilmember Riley's office. I'm joined today by my colleague Andy Tercios, our Constituent Liaison, who will be attending these meetings going forward on behalf of our office. I'm not leaving. I'm still going to be a part of the office. Councilmember and I will be working on other projects throughout the community, so I will still be around. You can still bother me. And I do want to mention that our remarks will be a little bit different today. So I'm going to be doing our legislative and budget update, and then Andy will be doing our community events and constituent services update. So pardon me on the time, all right? So for our legislative update, today at City Hall, Councilmember Riley is partnering with Councilmember Williams, Stevens, and the Queensborough President to introduce Introduction 1069, which is a follow-up bill to last year's Local Law 142 of 2023. So Local Law 142 of 2023 requires the administration to locate appropriate locations in each borough where we can actually have this freight parking, this truck parking. The administration has not yet taken action on that, but that is something that was passed into local law, and they will need to be coming into compliance. They are not at that due date yet, so they still have time. And so this bill is to join that bill. So Introduction 1069 would set 90-minute time limits for the commercial vehicles that do not otherwise have a specified regulation posted for trucks or commercial vehicles. Any questions on that one? No? Cool. So I do also want to share the passage of Councilmember Riley's pregnancy loss pamphlet legislation, Introduction 651, 2024, which will require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to produce materials related to pregnancy loss, no matter what kind of pregnancy loss, and make sure that it is available throughout sites in the city, and offer this publication to community partners upon request. So basically, giving these families that have lost their pregnancy for whatever reason it may be, this option of like finding out where the resources is. Very low contact, not being interrogated with a bunch of questions. They can access the resource and take what they want from it, follow up from that. And so that was actually pitched by a community member. And so in that, I want to stress the importance of actually giving us your legislative ideas. We always welcome them. We always want to see what's feasible. We'll always try and ask. I like asking. So I do want to direct anyone that does have a legislative idea to contact our legislative director, Jason Fox, at jfox@council.nyc.gov. And then in terms of the budget, a couple things. First, thank you for shouting out the first part of my budget update, so I'll skip that part. Happy that you guys are taking the steps and bringing in these other partners to try and actually get a comprehensive community plan for you guys. It's great. In that also, we are actually bringing back participatory budgeting for this year. So idea collection will be next month for the month of October. We would love to get your ideas for any capital projects to propose in the community. And so budget delegates will then see what is eligible in that for it to then go to the next step to be voted on, and then whatever passes, Councilmember Riley is happy to include. So please, please, please continue to engage with us. Please join our mailing list if you haven't already. You can call our office, double check, make sure you're there, because when we switch servers, I don't want anything to get lost. And then I also did get to speak to Ursula recently, and so we're actually going to be having another event here at Community Board 12, and I'm really happy about this one, and it kind of ties into the presentation. So we've gotten a lot of feedback from residents who either want to start or have an existing nonprofit, and they have questions about it, and they want to be able to get it addressed. We're going to have a lawyer from the New York Lawyers for Public Interest actually coming to Community Board 12, October 10th. You can ask your questions, you can find out more about compliance. And even if you don't necessarily have a future plan and you just kind of want to know more, you're absolutely welcome. Like, please come. We've worked really hard on this, and we really want to be able to see the community there. Flyers will be at the desk, of course, and so that is Thursday, October 10th. It starts at 5 p.m. right here at Community Board 12.
Question? Those are for people who want to set up a CBO?
So if they're thinking about it, if they're not sure, if they might already have one, it doesn't really matter where you are as long as you're interested.
No, there are a lot of folks who want to be part of something, but they don't know how, and they talk stuff about. They try to get streets cut off, but they're not a CBO, and you got a lot of folks that they want.
Yeah, and I know formalizing it, that gives you the opportunity to access funds.
A gun with no bullets. I get it.
What were the results of the last participatory budgeting? Have those been released yet?
I had them Tuesday. I will follow up with those.
Thanks.
But I know it was definitely a lot of school upgrades recently. So I know replacing the water filtration systems to get some of the schools new water fountains. I know that was definitely one of them. But I will give
Thank
the
you.
graphic. Andy just turned.
Okay, great. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Turcios. I am the Constituent Service Liaison for Councilmember Kevin C. Riley. I've had the opportunity to see some of you at some events that we've had over the summer, and I've definitely probably talked to a few of you over the phone. So I just wanted to, make sure to get the opportunity to acquaint myself to this community board. As what Cynthia repeated, I'm going to be the point person that will be attending these meetings. So just to recap, we have two different district offices, one at 940 East Gun Hill Road. We have a different district office in Co-op City, 135 Einstein Loop, room 44. As always, our phone number is 718-684-5509. Our email is district12@council.nyc.gov. Now, to go into local community events, so for October the 5th, we're going to be partnering up with NYC H2O to do a community cleanup of Edson Avenue, right where the bus depot is and where the old golf course used to be. It's between the apex of Community Board 10 and 11 and 12. So it's going to be right in that area. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And most of us will be meeting up at where the BX12 bus stop is on Edson Avenue. So community conversations, we are going to be starting that again. Our office is going to be starting that we actually started this month. This month we had a community conversation about education. We had that at the YMCA. We had a really big turnout. It was amazing. So I really hope that, for those of you who have, certain issues that you want to follow up with our office about, we would really appreciate you to follow up with us to get clarity as to when our next community conversation will be, because we will be updating the community pretty soon. Next, community resource event. So the New York City Council is going to be having an estate planning consultation day throughout all the 5 boroughs. The date for the Bronx will be Tuesday, October 15th from 2 to 8 p.m. Now that event is a little bit of a kind of like an all jam-packed thing for people to learn about for estate planning, power of attorney. They learn a different variety of things that one would like to know when it comes to just, general planning for the future. So that's a very important resource that we want to make sure to extend out to everybody else. If you can't make it for the day of your borough, you can always go to a different borough to participate in that event and, get any takeaways that they'll have for that. Lastly, I would like to remind everybody of the services and the partnerships that we have at our office. So, Urban Justice Center, we have specifically a family clinic, domestic violence and family clinic services that we provide at our office. We have Neighborhood Initiatives Development Corporation, NIDC for short. They usually help us assist you with housing applications, landlord and tenant issues. They walk you through just the basic summary of what one might need for just housing assistance. We also have Community Citizenship Now for immigration inquiries. We have actually now started partnering up with Veteran Advocacy Project to start a legal clinic in our district over by Co-op City to help veterans and their families to be screened for different services that they are eligible for, okay? So again, you can contact our office at 718-684-5509, and yep, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. Okay, we're gonna go on to Kim online.
Hi, everybody. I am Kimberly McNabb. I'm the Deputy Director for Planning and Development at the Bronx Borough President's Office. The VP was there and pretty much, did everything for me. So I don't have much to say, but just wanted to pin 2 upcoming events that she did not mention. We are having a Reso A funding information session at Bronx Borough Hall on October 10th. So if you or people you know are involved with projects that may benefit from some funding, this would be a really great session to attend. The time is 4:30 to 8 o'clock at night. Again, that will be at Bronx Borough Hall. And then on October 19th, the topographic unit, which is under my unit, is having a mapping event with Open House New York. It's part of Open New York Weekend, which is a really big citywide event. There will be numerous events in the Bronx. Ours is one of them. It will be university. The flyer is not ready yet, so I will have to send that to you after this meeting. Sorry, hold on. And I wanted to again welcome all the new members on the board. It was a pleasure to present to you at your orientation last month, and I best, but that's all I have. Oh, and if you have any questions about what the VP said or any questions in general, you can always reach out to me. My email is kmcnab
Put it in the chat.
BronxBP.
Kim, if you could put it in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'll put it in the chat. No problem.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we're going to give the floor to Councilmember Dinowitz. Good evening. You can have the floor. Is this the microphone? That's for you.
Okay, everyone, welcome to class. This is how I feel like I'm giving a lecture in college. This is a really nice, packed room. Good evening, everyone. All right, this feels good to be here. I think it's been a nice summer, huh? This is your first meeting of the year, huh? It feels good, and it feels good to see so many of you. There are so many meetings and emails, and I'm so sick of emails. I'm so happy to be here. I have a few announcements, and then up to the chair if there's time for any questions or comments or complaints or compliments on my tie. Wasn't sure what to wear this morning. So first, I actually was last year, I think a couple weeks ago, because the borough president and I announced our capital investment in the Wakefield Library of $360,000 for ADA upgrades. Now, if you paid attention really closely to redistricting, you'll know that the Wakefield Library was not in my district last time. This time, this go around, it is in my district because the lines were redrawn. And I said, not only do we need to invest in our libraries, we need to specifically invest in the Wakefield community, and particularly for this library, where if you're a person with a disability, an older adult, someone with an injury, you needed to ring the bell and then go around the back. It was this whole big mess just to get to use your library, a beautiful library with beautiful space. And so the borough president and I pooled our resources, and so that's in the pipeline. Accessible entrance to the Wakefield Library. Before that, we had a really great back-to-school event where we partnered with PS19, the community school, or CS19 now. All the kids and the families came. We, along with Senator Bailey and Assemblyman Dinowitz's offices, were there. I think Congressman Torres' office was there. We gave out backpacks. Target was there sponsoring. They had like those inflatable things. And by the way, you should know, I'm not very good at inflatable basketball. And I say like inflatable basketball as if I'm good at regular basketball, but not the inflatable kind. But it was really a fun time. And so I don't know if any of you were there, but it was just wonderful. Two other things. I have a bill. A lot of you have complaints about 311. Raise your hand if you've used 311 and you've used the app. And then you put in the request and you get an alert that says it's closed. I know, what's up with that? Well, that's what I said. That's what you all said. And then you email my office and you're like, what's up with this? And we said, we don't know, and this whole back and forth. So I have a bill, and it actually just got a hearing last week. So the process for passing legislation is it's drafted, it's introduced, and then if it gets a hearing, that means the bill is presented publicly in this public comment and the agencies comment on it publicly. That's a really important step to getting a bill passed. So what this bill does is it says you, as a customer of 311, have the opportunity to do something very simple. It's something you could do on most any app. And that's provide feedback, so that next time that you have flooding, you have an illegally parked car, you have a pothole, you have noise, and the 301 complaint says closed, you can provide feedback and say, actually, the agency did not do a good job. And the reason that feedback is important is because it allows us to more easily and more accurately exercise our oversight authority in the city council. That's one of our important jobs, oversight. And what it will do is quarterly, it would create an agency report card based on your feedback. Your feedback. And so and I think that's really important, something that's always been important to me, is making sure you have more of a voice in our city government. And so that's what this bill does. I'm going to continue to keep it updated. I, of course, have other bills, but this is the most recent one that's had updates. It's a loud noise. And lastly, I just want to update you a little bit on the city of Yes. I think this board in particular has been really aware of the city of Yes. And what it would do, it would change all zoning laws to allow for more housing as of right, meaning without needing to come before the community board and without needing a vote in the city council. I think I've shared with you in the past, in general, I have a lot of concerns with any legislation, charter amendment, zoning text amendment in this case, that effectively takes away your ability to help shape your community. And we think of some of the rezonings we've had in this district. Just a little further north on White Plains Road, I know this board is talking about Wakefield Village. Those are going through the ULURP process. Those are going through zoning changes. And what that means is by necessity, it has to go before you, and then it has to go through a vote of the city council. And I, as your representative, I always take in your concerns if and when these zoning changes happen.
We have them for you. We voted no on it, so we have those recommendations for you.
Right, and I want to, no, please share them. But I want you all to know that I understand and my feelings about this, my concerns, not just about the plan itself, but about what it means for your voice. And that's very concerning for me. I'm not going to list all the specific issues I have, but overarching, that's really important. The plan itself passed a vote of the City Planning Commission, and today in the City Council, we voted to call it up. And what that means is just that we voted to say we are going to discuss it. Over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, we'll be negotiating back and forth. I co-chair the Bronx delegation with Councilmember Stevens. We'll be having meetings among members of the Bronx delegation to continue to hear those concerns, to make those concerns heard in the text, and ultimately, I, as the council member, will decide whether I think it meets your needs, the needs of Community Board 12, and reflects some of the concerns that you had when you made your original vote. And so those are a few of the updates. I will leave it there.
We do have one important update that we're waiting to hear from about, we had requested funding for an urban planner, and I know that you weren't able to allocate funds, but you were gonna help connect us to maybe a university that could work with us.
Yes, so I reached out to them. I had spoken to them last in July, and I actually this morning, because I remember tonight I said, what am I forgetting? That. And the goal is, the way the conversation is right now, I reached out to CUNY about urban planner. And it was at Hunter, they said, well, let's work on getting our spring graduate level course to collaborate with Bronx Community Board 12. And for me, this is, I believe, a great way to get you the resources you need with, I think, people who are top-notch, our graduate level CUNY students, and provide opportunities for youth as well, which, as you all know, having been a teacher is really important and close to my heart. And so that's the update I have now. And you should expect an email soon, because I just emailed them, so you should expect that communication soon.
Quick question about the city, yes.
I'll repeat his question, because I imagine the sound is hooked up to the Facebook feed, so I'll just repeat your question, so don't worry about it. But I can hear it.
if the entire district says, the entire community board of the Bronx, all the community board says no, will you guys support the no? Or our input will mean basically nothing? I want some clarity, because what you said to me here right now doesn't say that because we here said no, that you guys are going to say no. I don't hear that. I hear that you're going to discuss it, but not that you're going to support it.
That's correct. So first of all, I can't speak for the other 8 members of the Bronx delegation. So I want to be very clear. I'm speaking for myself. I can say a number of us in the delegation have concerns, but I'm not going to speak how they'll vote. I represent 3 different community boards. You already voted on approving or disapproving. And other community boards, some of them in the Bronx, approved. Some of them, I think, didn't make any comments at all. What you did and what other community boards did, they say no, but here are our concerns, or others said yes with conditions. I'm happy to list all of my concerns, and there are a lot with City of Yes. But there are also changes that are going to be made. And what I never do is I never go into a vote saying I shouldn't say that. I rarely go into a vote saying I'm never going to vote for or against something, just because I don't know what the amendments, I don't know what the changes are going to look like. And that's the importance of your voice to begin with. You have input, borough presidents have input, city planning commission members have input in this process. And now we in the council have input. Unless it changes significantly, unless a lot of your concerns are met, a lot of your concerns and needs are met, and my other community boards that I represent are met, then no, I can't vote for it. I will not be able to. But just know that what you voted for is not what we are voting for in the city council. Did that answer the question? That's correct. What you let me say this as nicely as possible. I shouldn't say nicely. The process is you vote on it, but ultimately it's a city council vote. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the vote is by the city council, just like any ULURP that you all vote on, right?
That's exactly what we wanted to hear. And the reason we wanted to hear that is because now there's the question, why are we voting for these things to begin with? If they're not going to be a concerted effort to understand the magnitude of the community at stake. Now, some community boards did not even render a decision. Some were bamboozled into rendering a decision. Okay? But it seems as if the next level comes to the city council. All right? And we feel undermined because we did the work. We brought the issues up that make you make a decision whether you'd like to go forward on a City of Yes or not. However, it's a different voting level, and I think that's what we're all referring to. Do you understand that?
No. I mean, look. This is the reality of the charter. The community boards are advisory bodies, but I take your input, right? So when you have, whether it's budget or whether it's other issues, is something as simple as a speed bump or trees that need to be planted, I take your advisement, and that carries a lot of weight with me and my office. And when it comes to voting no on the City of Yes, that is extremely important to me. And so I can't change your voting power in terms of the legislation in City Hall. The reality is you are advisory, but again, I take your advisement to heart. Did that answer your question?
Enough said. We get it, because we can dance around this all night, but I understand.
Yeah.
I understand because I've seen this before, and I fully understand, but for the sake of new members or concerned members, because we did a lot of work, Board 12 did a lot of work, and we broke it down, all right? And I know a lot of other community boards did not do it the way we did it. However, we felt very certain about our position,
Yeah.
and we vocalized it, and only to let this go to the next level, and the vocalization, heads in another direction, and we can't do anything, but we brought forward the work and the necessary episodes to render a decision of our caliber. That's all.
And I want everyone here to know, especially the new members, and I'll say it again, that is work that I deeply value and deeply appreciate it. And the work you do here is very, very important. And again, work that I take to heart and work that I listen to. So the care you took to look into City of Yes, to make your recommendations rather, is work that I value, work that impacts my decision-making process.
So just really quick, not really a question for you. Thank you for being here. Just more to the people in attendance, feeling like we don't have power when we vote on these things. We do have power because we vote in elections. So if you feel like the people that are representing us in these votes citywide aren't representing us and the needs that we want, we can vote. And if the people that we vote for aren't following what we want them to do, then the next time when they come around and they're looking for our vote, you vote for someone else. Does that make sense? No.
Yeah. And again, I just want to be very clear on my position. I'm hearing subtext. I'm hearing that you want me to just say I'm voting against it. That's what I think you want me to say, right? Okay,
Okay, wait, guys, one mic. No, council member, what we're saying is that we want our recommendations to be taken into account as to why we voted it down.
And in case it wasn't clear, and that's on me, I
Yeah,
apologize. The answer is yes, your recommendations will be, well, I'm going to advocate for your recommendations. Let me rephrase. And again, I can't speak for the other 50 council members. I can say again what I opened with, which is that as co-chair of the Bronx delegation, we are going to make sure that the community boards, and our own recommendations from working with land use experts and land use lawyers are going to be recommended and pushed in this plan. I cannot personally guarantee you what's going to be in the final plan. What I can guarantee you is that I'm going to continue to fight for you, continue to advocate for you, and continue to take your recommendations to the entire city council.
Thank you. We'll make sure you have our recommendations. We're not sure if you received those.
You can resend them, but I certainly have them, and I've
Okay.
read them. So happy to read them again.
Thank you.
I have them. So don't worry. I certainly have them.
Okay.
So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on.
Pete,
now-
can I say?
Yes, Carl?
Yeah. Kevin Riley has asked to come to the Land Use Committee meeting on October 16th to discuss the city of Yes again. Just a heads up.
Great, Councilmember Dinowitz, maybe you can join that meeting as well.
So every time I come here, and I will say it this time again, I'm happy to come to any of your committee meetings. And it is no different for land use. We'll talk privately, but if
Yes,
it fits
we'll
my
make sure that
schedule,
you-
I'm happy
you
to
have
come.
it on your calendar.
October 16th, I assume 7 p.m.?
Yes,
Okay,
it would be great. That way we're all having the same conversation at the table.
100%. And
Okay.
again, that goes for any committee meeting about any topic. If it fits in my schedule, I will be there to talk to the committee and anyone else from the public.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here. We
you, of
appreciate it.
course.
Okay, we're going to move on now to Rachel from Representative Torres's office.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rochelle. I'm one of the constituent services liaison with Congressman Richie Torres's office. I hope everyone had a great summer. So for today's announcements, I am pleased to announce that our office distributed over 500 backpacks this summer. Other further announcements are that as of August 14, in response to New York City Health Report, carfentanil and medetomidine in New York City drug supply, Congressman Richie Torres wrote a letter to both the Drug Enforcement Administrative and the Center for Disease Control and Preventions after the report found the carfentanil, which is 100 times stronger than fentanyl, was detected in some street drugs. Additionally, medetomidine has been found particularly in the Bronx. So for any further information regarding that, it will be announced from our office. Another announcement that I have is that as of August 18, Congressman Richie Torres called for an investigation on Con Ed pricing after a recent report. A report from Mr. Torres revealed that Con Ed customers are paying twice as much as those with National Grid. For example, a property in the Bronx is charged $1.29 per therm for delivery by Con Ed, while a property in Brooklyn is paying only 54 cents per therm with National Grid.
That's important. Can you say that one more time? I think our board members need to hear that about the Con Ed prices, how the disparities persist.
Yes, so after a report, Congressman Richie Torres revealed that Con Ed customers are paying twice as much as those with National Grid. For example, a property in the Bronx is being charged $1.29 per therm for delivery by Con Edison, while a property in Brooklyn is only paying 54 cents per therm with National Grid. So
that's
Mr.
horrible.
Yes, so Mr. Torres has asked the New York Public Service Commission to investigate on the pricing practice. Although Con Ed did defend its pricing, we do understand that this situation is very frustrating for many residents. So we currently don't have information regarding possible refunds, but once we do hear any more information, we'll definitely make sure to update everyone. Everyone is also welcome to contact our office for any further information that we have right now. Excuse the noise outside. And the last announcement I have is that the Department of State has announced that they are now able to renew passports online. So you may visit, and I'll also include this information in the chat. You may go to travel.state.gov for further information. And everyone is welcome to contact our office at 718-503-9610. We assist with federal cases. And I will also include my email if anyone has any further questions.
Thank you so much. Board members, if you could just stick with us for a few more minutes. We do have some voting matters and we don't want to lose quorum. So if we have one more speaker, Ronell, and then we'll move on to voting matters. Ronell, if you're here, you have the floor.
Hi, this is Ronell from State Senator Bailey's office. Our office is located at 959 East 233rd Street. We are between Edenwall and Gunther near the Carvel Ice Cream. If you have any inquiries or concerns, you can contact our office at 718-547-8854. So this past Saturday, we had our Caribbean and Union Parade celebration. It was a huge turnout. We appreciate everyone that showed up. We also have several more events happening this month. We have our senior walk, that's October 3rd, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Section 1 Greenway by the stage behind 140 Benchley Place. If you guys could share that information, we would greatly appreciate it. We also have a free paper shredding event in collaboration with Congressmember Richie Torres' office, Assembly Member Jeffrey Dinowitz, and Councilmember Eric Dinowitz. That is Saturday, October 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in front of the Woodlawn Library. If you are interested in any of these events, you could call our office at 718-547-8854. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're closing up that section of our agenda. We're going to go to roll call.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome all of our new board members to Community Board 12. As Beatrice mentioned earlier, that we must insist that you call the office talk to Ursula and let her know whether you're coming or you're not coming or you're going to be on virtual. We must have you here in full attendance. That is the only way we can get a quorum. Being on virtual does not make it a quorum. So board members have to realize that they must show up to board meetings. And it also stands for your committees. Whatever committee that you become a part of, you have to keep that same ideal as you go forward. And also, in reference to those who are on virtual, you have to be on camera. Even though we may have a quorum here in the building, you still, when you take your vote, when I go for the vote, I have to see your face. And then it will count. So please be mindful of that. I know we have a tendency when we're on virtual that we black out and put all the pretty faces up there, but it's not you in person, and your picture can't talk for you. So you must show your face when you give your vote. I'm going to do a roll call right now. I was going to try and incorporate it with the minutes, but I'll do it individually for the first time. Judith Benitez, I'm present. Carlton Berkeley, I'm marking as absent. If you don't answer me, I try to do it at least 3 times before I say absent. And you've been here long enough for me to know whether you've been here or not. Carla Basati. Present. Patricia Boswell. Michelle Brumfield. Desiree Campbell. Desiree Campbell. Desiree Campbell is absent. Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell. I'm marking her as absent. Joan Claude. Beatrice Coronel.
Present.
Etonia Davis. If you're Etonia Davis, even though you're on virtual, you still have to answer me. So if you're on virtual, please unmute yourself and say present, even though I'm marking you.
She's not on.
She's not here. Okay, I'm marking Etonia as absent. Tolene Dickinson.
Here, loud and clear.
Thank you, Tolene.
You're welcome.
Tierra Donaldson. Denise Echeria. Oh, Jaslyn Farmer. Jaslyn Farmer. Jaslyn Farmer, absent. Alfredo Figueroa.
Yeah.
Sabrina Fisher. Kartika Fuentes. Johnny Goff is excused. Darren Grant. Sheila Grayson. Sheila Grayson. Sheila Grayson is marked absent. Robert Hall.
Yeah.
John Isaac. Theodore James. Alpha Kamara. Robert Link. Javid Malik. I don't think Javid is here.
Not here.
Okay, he's absent. Mark is excused. Lucille Martin. Mamie Mesa. Mamie Mansa. Mamie Mensa. I thought I saw her on screen. She was. Okay, she's being marked absent. See, that's the luxury of being on virtual. When you get tired, you can just fade away and don't think anybody's going to know you're here. So be mindful of that also. Antoinette Mitchell. Antoinette Mitchell? Okay, she's absent. Andrea Murray. Elise Murray.
Present.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Clinton Mike. Present. Carmen Ortiz. I see you, Carmen. Wayne Palmer. Here. Please sit at the table the next time when you come in so that when you use available of the mic. Okay, thank you. I don't miss too much, okay? Reginald Paris. Reginald Paris is not here, he's absent. Ariel Peters, I know I saw her, but I don't know if she's still on virtual.
She's excused.
No, but she's on, is she here?
She's not. She was just joining for a while, but she's excused.
You excusing her?
Yes, she let us know that she couldn't be.
Okay, this is interesting. Dominique Finn. Anthony Reed is excused. Nicholas Rosa. Nicholas.
Present.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Hope to see you next month. Dr. Sherry Samuels. Karen Skinner is excused. Oh, you're here, but you're on virtual.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Virtually.
Carl Stricker.
Excused.
Banger Saber.
Here, I'm virtual.
I got you. Okay. Luke Sabados.
Here.
Deborah Torado. Damon Teton is
Present.
Hi.
Virtually.
Okay.
Hello.
Deborah Walker. And that's our roll call. We have supposedly, it's supposed to have 47 members, and let's say we had 26. I just lost 2 people for various reasons. So we did have a quorum, so we still might have a quorum.
Just to go over rules, you're unexcused as an absent if you have not called and alerted us. So even if you're on camera, technically you're unexcused if you didn't alert us. Just so that you all know, cameras have to be on for you to be counted. And that's the hybrid model is for those that are either ill, there's reasons, right, that qualify, whether you're ill, you're away for work. And so we can go over those, but you would have to let us know just so that everybody is aware, okay?
Oh, you're a senior.
Oh, I did email everybody.
Who's that?
Okay, that was Carl.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we are going to move on, and the next item on our agenda is to approval of the minutes. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for June 27, 2024.
Second.
Okay, John Isaac first, Clinton second. Okay, now.
I'm going to do the roll call again.
Can we do a voice vote? All in favor?
The what?
What?
Unanimous?
Can we do a unanimous consent?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, I know time is of the essence, but what could we say? Okay, I'm asking for a unanimous vote of the minutes for June 27, 24. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any recusals? Any nays? Any abstentions? Is unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Great. Now we're going to move on to the next item, committee reports. Carla?
The Ad hoc Bylaws Committee met on September 16th. We had 4 committee members present in person and 1 virtual. And the objective of the meeting was to propose a new committee structure. And we did so. So that was sent out twice now, I think. So I hope everyone had a chance to look at it. But I'll go through it quickly, verbally. Committee number 1 would consist of land use, housing, economic development, and business services. Committee 2 would consist of public safety, parks and recreation, and environmental concerns. Committee number 3 would consist of Health and Human Services, Education and Youth Services, Library, and Cultural Affairs.
I'm trying to share it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to share it online. Can you put it up on the screen? I just shared it. Guys, thank you. Carla, you can refer.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yes. The Executive Committee, the Discipline Committee, and ad hoc committees will remain standalone. And the structure of the new proposed combined committees would consist of leadership by the chairs of the individual committees comprising the new consolidated committees.
Okay, so just to sum it up, last year we were having concerns about quorum. So a lot of committee issues that were coming across committees weren't being met, weren't being fully addressed. The idea of consolidating committees is so that there are more heads at the table, more think tanks, more input given, and also so that we meet quorum. And so what Carla is sharing here is the proposed idea of the new committee structure, right? So you know how we would have standalone committees, land use was one, economic, business development was another. This is what we're proposing to test out. And it was under the caveat that we're gonna test it out for a year. If it doesn't work out, then we'll go back to the drawing board. But because we're about a board of 47 members, that would mean that each committee would have about 15 members, which is great. And so this is what's being proposed. And the other part of the proposal is that each committee had their own chair. They have vice chairs, but that would be too complicated. What we're proposing is that each committee's chair will be now a co-chair of that committee, so that if particular matters come up, let's say housing comes up, Robert would chair that, land use comes up, Carl would chair that portion of it, parks comes up, Luke would chair that portion of it, right? So you have co-chairs. Does everybody understand? Yes.
Thank you. I think it would be a bit confusing because as I'm looking at committee 1, that would be what, one chair, who would be the chair, and then 3 co-chairs?
All co-chairs. They're all co-chairs.
So all are co-chairs. And so who will be chairing each meeting?
Okay.
Are they going to
let me give you the example, right?
Okay.
Committee 1, let's say that committee is having a meeting taking place. Land use has a matter, economic development has a matter, housing has a matter, transportation has a matter. When we're at the portion of land use, Carl will chair that. When we get to housing, Robert would, and so on.
Okay, thank you.
And it doesn't mean that at each meeting, all these matters would be coming up. Maybe, but maybe it's just 1 or 2. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the committee's presentation and request that they're asking that we consolidate the committees, and also give Carla a round of applause for all her hard work. Yeah. I need it.
Second. Third.
Michelle, you caught that?
Also need to make a motion that we actually accept the committee structure as presented by Carla.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yes, so the way it works is the first part is we accept the committee report, right? We take a vote. The second part is that we accept the recommendation, we take a vote.
Yeah, but you got to do one, there's already a motion on the
Yes.
floor. And then you can start another
Exactly.
motion.
Right.
You can't do it back to back.
No, it's separate.
Okay,
committee report acceptance first, and then accept the recommendation for the consolidation of the structure, the new structure.
We can do it that way. Let me just ask this question. This is for the report. Are there any recusals from this motion? Are there any abstentions? Are there any nays? Can I do a unanimous motion? Yes. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, and then we're going on to the second portion, which is what? Worded for me, please. To accept.
You gotta put a new motion on it.
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new committee structure as proposed by caller.
I got you. I'd like to second that, please.
Point of clarification, is this motion us adopting the structure? Awesome.
Okay, I'm asking the same. I'm asking the same. Dang, I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I'm asking the same thing. Any noes, abstentions, recusals? We have a. Thank you.
Aye.
That was a big deal. It took 2 years for us to come to that conclusion. Congratulations to you all. This is going to be an impactful year for all of us. Let me see what else we have on the agenda. I think that's, oh yes, we were a Parks Committee.
So, quick question, will the committee schedule change at all? Like all of these meetings, each committee is gonna meet on a new day, right? So they'll circulate that via email. Okay, well, I just wanted to give a brief update about the Parks Committee. Our next meeting is Tuesday, October 8th, unless there's any scheduling differences with this new committee structure. One thing that we want to talk about this year is lifeguard shortages. It's something that we've witnessed over the summer. A lot of people don't have access to pool hours, to swim lessons, and half of Orchard Beach has been closed this summer. I don't know if anybody visited Orchard Beach, but having access for spaces for people to cool down and learn how to swim, really crucial for everybody's long-term health. So we're going to try to write a letter to urge the mayor to staff up lifeguards for all of these reasons. Wanted to just get a temperature check. We haven't discussed this in the committee yet, but wanted to get a temperature check to make sure people are on board with this. And if the committee and the full board support the letter, we'll also try to get other communities to sign on. The goal would be to get every community board to urge the mayor to expand lifeguards. It's really crucial for kids' health in all different ways. I just want to give an update about the farmers market. The community board supported the farmers market. Unfortunately, it had to close down halfway through its run. Didn't have enough support. And part of that, Judy Desiree, a fantastic advocate for health and food access, she applied for discretionary funds, but didn't get any discretionary funds from any of our elected representatives. I'm not sure if any of our elected representatives even showed up to the farmers market. And really just want to thank Robert Hall and Beatrice for all of your continued dedication, and everyone else for coming out and supporting. That space under the train tracks on Gun Hill Road and White Plains is prime for activation. We're trying to figure out how to activate it. Maybe this grant that we saw today could be a great opportunity figure out how to activate it. The Parks Department's going to come to our meeting on October 8th to discuss City of Forest, an event that they're going to have in Shoelace Park on October 26th. And they're also trying to organize a Friends of Shoelace Park initiative to get groundswell of support to help clean up Shoelace Park. So we're going to be talking about that. For any new members, if you're interested, try to see if you can join the Parks Committee meeting on October 8th. We need people to show up so that we can have a quorum. Thank you so much.
Just so all the board members, so now that we've voted on the consolidation, I'll be assigning you all. I'll be reaching out to those folks. But then that means that next month we could very well be implementing this consolidation. So please be on the lookout. It'll be less meetings, but you'll be hearing from me. So I'm gonna be reaching out to all of you. I'll be assigning you to those new committees. So just be on the lookout for that. Let's see what else we had. George has been participating in the budget consultation meetings, but that is something we as board members need to be part of, because from that comes the needs assessments, where he kind of writes up what it is that we're requesting to get more funds for. So that's something that we should be talking about in our next month. Monday the 14th, there can't be a land use meeting, Carl, because it's Indigenous Peoples Day. So, are we? But we got to speak about that because we don't, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, Cynthia said they were going to reschedule it. She just didn't know what day.
No, our land use meeting. Carl said it was our land use meeting.
Oh, okay.
And so we can't have it that Monday because the board is closed. So we have to come up with a date for that. Any questions before we close? Oh, new board members will be introducing you next month formally. Okay? Yes. I'm sorry, we'll come to you in a second. Any board members, any questions before we close? Okay, we will be closing this meeting at, yes? You could.
Yes.
I'll be reaching out to you. You could. Okay, we are closing. It is 9:18, and that, can I get a motion to close?
Adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Have a great one, everyone. Oh, wait, no. Oh, sorry. That's it. Let me close this. Yeah, we are.